Hi, the Artful Inker here, Sara Levin, with my 10 Days of Christmas, and today we're working on card 6, and I'm going to be using Santa Stache and this cute nutcracker here. So let's get started. I'm going to be stamping on Whisper White, and here's my nutcracker. Going to ink him with Memento ink because I plan to color him with Blendabilities. Love an outline stamp for that. I'm only going to stamp part of him this morning. I've already pre-stamped a portion, and I just need another mustache. So let's turn my paper and do mostly the mustache here. Okay, so I have stamped parts of him, full one here that I'm going to cut out, his hat, and his mustache. So let's start coloring. I'm going to use the Night of Navy Blendabilities and the Smoky Slate Blendabilities along with the Color Lifter. So need to get these open. This is the dark, the medium, and the light. And I also want my color lifter. So I'm going to start on the hat, and whatever I do on one hat, I'm going to do on the other. So I want to start out here on the edges with my medium Blendabilities, and then I'm going to come back in because I want this to be my darkest edge, and then I'm going to start and pull this color out. Don't want to get too close to your lines because the ink does continue to flow. And now I want to do the same thing down at the bottom. We're going to flick in a little bit of this color along here, and I want to come back with the dark, and then I'm going to bring this on out simply by moving this way. Now I want to come in from this other side as well. And it needs a little bit of the dark right along here. Going back to the medium and begin to pull that color out and across. Whoop, I'm probably hiding this with my handful of pens. Let's move this up a little bit. So down here we're going with the medium, come in with the dark, and then come back with my medium to begin to move this across. Okay. Now I want to, right here in the middle, I'm going to saturate this with my color lifter all the way down, and I'm going to work with my light color and my medium and bring this color back. Same thing, I want to hit this again with my color lifter. This is where I want my highlight, right here in the middle, and I'm going to put in just a little bit of that lightest shade, and then I'm going to come back with my medium, and then I want to come back with my color lifter, and that's going to help to give me a nice highlight here in the middle because it moves that color a little bit for us. Okay, so again, I'm going to continue on towards the middle here, and I'm going to saturate this center section with my color lifter. I want to add just a little bit of this lightest shade in on the edge of this, and then I want to blend it back with the medium. Okay, and where's my color lifter again? And again, I would just want to move this color. Okay, so there's a little bit of highlight on the middle of his hat. If you hold on, I'm going to go ahead and color the top of his hat on this one, and then I'll be back. So I have finished coloring in all of the Night of Navy on my nutcracker, and now I'm going to start with the Smoky Slate Blendabilities. I'm thinking I don't want the deepest gray. I'm going to use the medium and the light, and I'm going to use my color lifter on these. So I really, on the mustache, just want to bring in some gray tones, and rather than coloring it completely gray. So I'm putting down some color lifter first, sort of to help it bleed and blend along. And again, just coloring over with the color lifter because I want this to be a hint of gray rather than fully toned in gray. And so again, I'm going to come over with the color lifter, and this will cause this to bleed and move around just a little bit. So you can see, perhaps let's bring this up. Can you see how it's just a hint of gray in his mustache? And then I think we need to do the same thing here on his hair. And again, just out here on these kind of zigzag parts of his hair, I want to flick in just a little bit of gray. I don't want him to be fully gray. And then I'm going to move some of that color in. This technique of coloring allows you to get some additional shades from your markers. And again, you can see how he's just very lightly toned gray. So now I'm going to add a little bit along, I want to add a little shading along his, oh, looks like a crown to me. Whether it truly is or not is a whole nother. And again, I'm going to come in with the color lifter and move some of this and move some of this in. Okay, so I think you can see where we've got the darker edge here, and then there's just a hint of gray as you move toward the center, and then we leave a full highlight in the middle. So I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to finish this crown and do the same thing to his mustache here and cut those out, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and I've cut out my extra hat and my nutcracker, and I've used my mustache framelit to cut out an extra mustache, and now I want to add some light details to this before I assemble this part of the card. So I've got the clear dazzling details, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that on my finger and spread it across his mustache, and that will give it a little kind of like frosted look, like he's been out in the cool air, and give it a little bit of zing. And then I want to use some of the silver dazzling details and just fill in these little circles there. Okay, and that'll give that. Oh, let's give his buttons down here a little treatment as well, and that'll give them a little light silvery sparkle. I'm going to go ahead and attach a dimensional to the back of his mustache and lay that over here, just offsetting slightly so that it adds a little more dimension to it. And then his hat, I want to carefully take my bone folder and give it a little bit of shape here so that this will also stand up a little bit more than just putting a dimensional under it would do. And I'm actually going to stack two of these. Let me pull the backing off and put a second one on here. Fumbling, sorry. I'm probably fumbling out of frame. Sorry about that. Okay, and give it just a little. Okay, so let's set him aside to dry just a little bit. Now I need to work on a piece for my base, and I've got a piece of Whisper White here, and it is 2 inches by 5. And I want to add this little chevron from Work of Art, and I'm going to emboss that, so I need to use my embossing buddy and my Versamark. And I'm going to line up my points of my chevron here at the top and stamp. And same thing at the bottom. Okay. And then we need to add some silver embossing powder. And I will take this away to heat set it and be right back. Hi, so I'm back, and I have heat embossed both the top and the bottom here, and I have mixed up some Night of Navy re-inker, comes in these little bottles, with some alcohol. There are probably 3 drops of re-inker and then about half a spritzer of alcohol, and I have my aqua painter, and I'm going to, instead of spritz, I'm going to dip my aqua painter in here and just lightly spread some of this inky mixture along. And I'm not being particular about how thoroughly it's covered. I just didn't want this piece to be quite as white, and the alcohol allows that to dry more quickly and my paper doesn't buckle. So now I have my spritzer for another time. Let's move my silicone craft sheet and my aqua painter out of the way, and let's start and assemble this card. Night of Navy base that is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Make sure my edges are lined up, a little harder to see in the navy, and give this a run with my bone folder. And I have a piece of old olive that I have embossed with the zigzag embossing folder. Now you'll notice the design on the embossing folder goes this way, but I have used it going this way on my card, and so I centered it in here to begin with, and it left a little bit at the top and a little at the bottom, so I had to run it through a second and a third time, and you simply come along and match up the design, run that portion through, and the same thing at the bottom, and you can have the design run in an opposite direction. So let me add some multi-purpose glue to the back of my old olive piece, and it measures 5 by 3 3/4. Just running a light bead of glue. Doesn't take much of the multi-purpose glue, and this is going to be centered. Give it a rub and hold it just a second. And then I think I want dimensionals on this piece. As I said, this one measures 2 by 5, and actually you'll need to trim just a smidge off. After using the embossing folder, this piece shrinks just a small bit, and so you will need to, I think maybe it was a 1/16 of an inch that I needed to come back and cut off, but you can see that when you do yours. Okay, and center this piece on. And then last comes our lovely little nutcracker here, who also needs some dimensionals. One at the top and one at the bottom should do nicely. And once again, I am fighting with these a little bit. And center him. And there we go. My Santa Stache nutcracker, 6th card in my 10 Days of Christmas. Be sure to check out the other videos after you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then click in the left and be taken to my blog. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.